Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Yes, good evening over there. So, Vedant.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you all? Fine? Finished, huh? Want to drink water, you can drink. Okay. Can you rub this out?
Yes.
What is it? So, Aditya,
Good evening.
ready? Vedant, what's your name? Cheshta. Which school? Cheshta. Cheshta, okay. Which school? DAV Panvel. Harshita. Balban. Hira from Anglo. What? Radcliffe, right. Risha from Ramsey Alport School. Good. Arya from Balban. Ritika from Balban. Janvi. Right? You want to sit here, you can sit. You also sit over here if you want. Come. What's your name? Anand. Anuj, sorry, Anuj, yes. Then Kushal, yes, because you were, with mask for so many days, isn't it? Therefore, then what about you? Kushal, green fingers. Arush. DAV Kharida. Samar, Bharti Vidyapit. Balbhan, good. Okay. Now today, which topic you have started, children? Anuj, which topic you have started? Huh? Chemical reactions and chemistry not started. And here, chemical reactions. So we'll start with this. What about Aditya? Which topic you have started?
The first chapter.
Huh? First topic. Vedant?
So same chemical reaction and equation.
Chemical reactions. So we'll go for that chemical reactions. Okay. Let us see the chemical reactions. Can you see? There. Chemical reactions and equations. So first of all, what is the meaning of a chemical reaction? Okay, reaction means what changes. Now there are two kinds of changes here. One is actually called as what? A physical change. What is that? Physical change. What is the meaning of physical? Physical means, for example, here if I take, for example, let us say some ice cubes. Okay, and take it out of the refrigerator. Here, place it at room condition. I find within few minutes, these ice cubes, they actually change into what? Liquid water. Okay, at a given temperature. When I observe the, for example, I observe the composition of this ice cubes and also liquid water, I find they're same. Again, that means composition same, right? Only physical state change. Likewise, what I do, I again put that particular ice strip back into what? Refrigerator. And after few, let us say, minutes or maybe half an hour, whatever minutes or 1 hour, okay, it changes back into what? Ice cube. It's reversible very easily. Just by applying, lowering the temperature, okay, this process can be reversed. There's no change in the composition, isn't it? Can you see on the board over here, Vedant, Aditya? Okay. Now, and therefore one can say that there is a change, for example, of only physical state. And if there is a change of physical state but no chemical composition changes, It's a physical change. Tearing out of paper, physical change. Why? You are changing the length or breadth of the paper. Slicing off the butter from the bread, from that particular, let us say, box is nothing but what? Again, physical change. Why? The length of that particular or the volume of the butter is going on changing. But butter remains butter. I mean, you can say, for example, the composition does not change. Right? Cutting of wood, physical change. Right? Melting of wax, physical change. Why? Wax only melts. So I mean, it remains as what? The same composition of carbon. Clear? So these physical changes are taking place under normal condition. I mean, just by change of temperature or pressure, we can bring about these physical changes. Clear? Okay. Likewise, a gas getting liquefied under pressure, you can say it's a physical change. But this topic deals with the chemical changes. Okay, so chemical changes is one more, for example, for example, face, or we can say two sides of the same coin. If the physical change is not involving any composition change, chemical change involves a change in composition. You take coal, okay, coal को क्या करो तो burn करो oxygen या air, free burning. I mean, light it up and then finally coal burns, ignite it, and you find that coal becomes what? Finally gives out a gas called carbon dioxide. And of course, the impurities are remaining as ashes over there. But what is the composition change over here? This coal which was containing, let me write only carbon over here, just to understand. Coal is nothing but allotrope of carbon. So this carbon is missing out what? Oxygen. Yes or no? Likewise, this oxygen is missing out what? With respect to carbon dioxide, it is missing out carbon. That means here the starting material are different with respect to the ending material. The starting materials are called as reactants. Here we cannot call them as reactants and products because there is no change in the composition. But in a chemical reaction, the starting materials are called reactants and the ending material are called as what? अगर similar है तो product रहेगा और अगर उससे ज़्यादा रहेंगे products. Right? Products are altogether different from reactants. Now, how do you come to know that there is actually what a chemical reaction? You find first of all a change of composition. Okay, change in composition. Second, change of what? Color of products with respect to reactants. I mean, just an example is what? Suppose I cut a piece of apple. You go home and you find that mother is actually ready with the apple because you're studying for the last 3 to 4 hours and therefore you require some energy again to again study at home. So mother cuts an apple for you, or somebody, a member of the family, gives you an apple. But you are busy, okay, studying suppose, or something else. The color of that apple, the cut apple, is become what? Reddish brown after some. What is that? Change of color. Means there is a chemical change. Right? So what is happening with that iron which is there in the that particular fruit apple is converting it an oxide, iron oxide, which is the color reddish brown. Basically, you are just after a few days you are finding that some metal, that is iron metal is just it was kept outside. Okay, due to continuous pouring of water from the upper floor, it has become rusted. There's nothing but what? Change of color, change of composition. Right? Likewise, for example, evolution of gas. अभी यहाँ पे देखिए gas का evolution. That means with respect to the initial substance, if there is an evolution of gas, okay, which is again you find that gas may be colorless or some colored gases, indicating that there is some kind of chemical changes or chemical change. So rusting of iron through maybe for example the fruits which is being cut here gets ripened, or we can say for example change in the color, like banana which you take, after some time black spots come. Okay, and finally what is happening? Chemical reaction. Okay, likewise for example the cut apple, okay, becomes reddish brown. Digestion of food, respiration, photosynthesis, they are nothing but chemical changes. Right? Likewise, whenever a chemical reaction takes place or chemical change takes place, either heat is
Released.
Evolved, or it is, whenever a change takes place, okay, either heat is evolved. Like in this case, what is happening? Heat is evolved. That's why the fuel actually what gives out heat on burning. Suppose you're coming from the school and you find, for example, I mean, it's very hot outside, and suppose you're walking down, you feel like walking down from your school to your house here in the afternoon, let us say 2 o'clock, whatever time, like especially in the afternoon, you feel very much hot, and you feel like sitting under the tree. There's a huge tree, okay, in the midway through between your house and your, let us say, school. So you feel like sitting for 2 minutes just to, for example, hydrate yourself, drink water from the bottle, and can sit for some time, and you feel the coolness over. What is happening? Why the coolness is actually being felt naturally? It is because of plants which are there above you, okay, or the tree here is actually what preparing food, and for that food preparation, heat is absorbed not only from the surrounding but from your body also. So that means there heat is absorbed, and therefore you feel that, okay, heat is, that means photosynthesis is what type of process? Endothermic process. After heat absorbed, and you feel nice. Then once you feel nice, then you walk down. I mean, you get energy basically to walk down for the remaining distance. Clear? So change of composition. Likewise, there is a change of when we say heat. That means heat is lost over here, it is gained over here. That is for some chemical reaction, heat is required. For some chemical reaction, heat is given out automatically. There's no need to heat also. Remember, clear? That means plants, they only require sunlight and green pigment, chlorophyll, and automatically they will prepare food, flowers, okay, fruits, etc. Clear? So this is one thing. But when we say there's a change of temperature also, there's a huge change in temperature. Clear? That means temperature is not heat. Temperature is kinetic energy. So sometimes you require heat for the reaction, but after you supply heat, it evolves more than heat what you have supplied. So it's an exothermic. Okay, remember this. So that of course we are going to see. So there's a change of heat, evolution of gas, a change of color, change in composition. Is nothing but what? A chemical reaction, chemical change. You understand? Right. This one, heat is evolved means what? Whenever a chemical reaction takes place, due to this particular change, the products which are formed are having lesser energy. So that extra energy they gave out in the form of heat. So that is called exothermic. Likewise, for example, certain chemical reaction, it's like saying this way, ice ko tumne kya kiya? Heat diya na? Then only it converts into what? Liquid water. So here, this liquid water is having more energy, or ice cubes are having more energy, kinetic energy. Liquid water. So here that means for conversion of ice cubes into liquid water, you require heat. But suppose you convert liquid water into ice cubes, what will happen? It will give out heat or not. Means that energy which is excess will be given out in the surrounding, which is taken by the refrigerator. And that's why you get electricity bill. अंदर cooling effect हो रहा है, but उसमें से जो heat produce हुआ है, किसने absorb किया? By the mechanism of the refrigerator. Like suppose you keep some warm milk inside the refrigerator, how it cools down? It cools down because that heat which is given out from that little bit warm milk, okay, is being absorbed by the refrigerator का जो coolness है, जो भी mechanism है उसका, okay, it's because of that the coolness, and after some time you find the milk has become ice cold. That means it has given out heat. So when you're changing the state of matter from a lower state to higher state, heat will be required. Heat will be required. When you change from higher state to lower state, okay, this is just of course related with physical, but it's much easier to understand. So heat will be given. Remember, clear? Like best method is what? How will you come to know? Very good question here. So let me elaborate one more thing. Suppose you are carrying out a burning process here. I mean, you are standing in front of the gas burner. Are you feeling warmth from the gas burner or feeling cold? No. You know, वो जो combustion process हो रहा है, वो heat evolve कर रहा है. तो exothermic. वही चीज, you keep your finger on the ice cubes. क्या हो रहा है आपको? You get the coldness. Is what? That ice cubes are absorbing heat from your body. तो आपका ये हाथ ठंडा हो जाएगा और वो melt हो जाएगा. Heat आपका ये हाथ से heat absorb हुआ. Okay, yes or no? तब जाकर melt. ठीक है ना? Of course, outside temperature is also there, but your hand is becoming cold. It has taken the energy from your hand, to melt it partly. So likewise in a chemical reaction, how will you come to know heat is E1? Test tube will become warm. When test tube becomes cold, heat is absorbed. When test tube becomes warm after a chemical reaction or during the chemical reaction means it is heat is E1. यानी जब भी आपको heat मिलेगा, यानी evolution of heat. जब भी आपको coolness मिलेगा, तो heat is absorbed. That's why I said photosynthesis is an endothermic process. It will cooler because your energy is taken from the tree by the tree to do that process of photosynthesis. उसने heat absorb किया tree ने. आपका heat absorb, energy absorb. Heat is a form of energy. तो energy बोल सकते हैं या heat बोल सकते हैं. Okay, children done. लिखिए आराम से. Vedant, are you writing? Aditya.
Yes, sir, writing.
Anuj, any doubt? Doubt है पूछिए. मन में शंका है. If you have any doubts, you ask. Over. All of it done. Now, what is chemical equation? Let us understand that. Okay. So there are two changes, physical and chemical. So let us take some examples, like rapid fire question we can say. Melting of ice, physical or chemical change?
Physical.
Physical.
Digestion, chemical. Cutting of wood,
Physical.
yes. Burning of candle,
Physical.
burning of a candle,
Chemical.
physical as well as chemical. दोनों. Because burning of candle में क्या हो? Combustion हो रहा है. Means the fuel is actually what getting burned, hydrocarbon, giving you carbon dioxide and water vapor, plus melting of wax. Melting of wax physical है और वो chemical. ठीक है ना? Then, for example, digestion of food already done. Then respiration of photosynthesis we can say.
Chemical.
ठीक है ना? Okay, tearing out a paper.
Physical.
That means when there is a change in the physical properties, then only it is a physical change. उसका length change हो रहा है, weight change हो रहा है, color change हो रहा है, ठीक है ना? Color ये नहीं, temporary. This is reversible. This is normally irreversible. Your products are totally different. Tearing out a paper, piece of paper. ठीक है? Physical change. Photosynthesis, physical change. Sorry, chemical change. Sorry. Okay. Let us say, for example, our process of looking at an object.
Physical.
Looking at an object. Physical. Right or not? Ice is not changing into liquid. Right or not? So this is the thing. I mean, you can classify any way. You can take anything and you can come to know that it's just a physical change. Okay. And or a chemical change. So that is something which is okay. And you're finding that looking at a particular person is not bringing about any changes in him or her. That is something which is normally a kind of physical property, looking, clear? Okay. At the same time, what is important over here, sir? What is the meaning of an equation over here? Okay. An equation is basically a symbolic representation. Okay, on simplified way, it's actually what? A representation. Representation of a chemical reaction. Because to write that particular reaction again and again will be tedious job. Like for example, you're walking down the road and you find, for example, this particular, one sign is given over there. At the corner of this particular road, P is given on a metal plate. What it indicates? Right? And if suppose this is given over here, okay? So you come to know from this symbol, you come to know from this representation. There's no need to write the word no parking unless it's a waste of, for example, material. Okay, so this kind of symbolic language will be used. So likewise, if a chemical reaction is taking place, if I try to represent it, okay, that chemical reaction, then you will say, sir, it is an equation, chemical equation. So let us understand. For example, I take magnesium ribbon. So let me write a statement of which actually what I have done. Okay, this experiment in the lab, chemistry lab. On the first page in your NCRT book, they have given. I take magnesium ribbon. Okay. देखिए अभी इधर बुक में मत देखिए अभी देखिए मैग्नीशियम जस्ट लिसन सिट बैक एंड एंजॉय द लेक्चर लिसन टू इट केयरफुली कुछ ज्यादा करना नहीं है सोचना है बात ठीक है आई विल डू एवरीथिंग you have to just listen and concentrate and try to rethink ponder over it pondering karna ठीक है magnesium ribbon I hold it in a pair of tongs here magnesium ribbon and then I burn it in the Bunsen burner burn in air, okay, and it burns brightly, it forms a white layer. White layer of magnesium oxide. And this burning takes place, I'm telling you this, this is an explanation basically. Burning takes place, okay, dazzlingly. That means dazzling brightness. Okay, like people they say, you're dazzling, right or not? I mean, vibrant. So now this particular statement, if somebody student, sir, so much you have written. Okay, can you make it shorter? I can make it shorter in, for example, like, for example, in the symbolic manner, and okay, don't worry, I'll make it in the word equation form. Now, what is the meaning of word equation? I will divide this particular statement because statement is made up of parts, you know very well. Okay, so magnesium ribbon, first part, burns in air, second part, forms magnesium layer, white layer of magnesium oxide, third part. Burning takes place dazzlingly. अगर ये आपको उसमें रिपोर्ट करना है तो रिपोर्ट कर सकते हैं. But at this moment ये पार्ट्स है स्टेटमेंट. तो हम लोग इसको शॉर्ट फॉर्म में कैसे लिखेंगे? अनुज, मैग्नीशियम को क्या लिखेंगे? मैग्नीशियम रिबन. I will just write magnesium. Right? Okay. Vedant, burns in air. Short form में कैसे? Plus, because it's reaction. So plus sign. ठीक है? In air, air means what? Oxygen. But oxygen is out of, see, air contains दो चीज, एक oxygen है और एक nitrogen, unpolluted air. Remaining particles of air are inert gases. उन लोग तो react करने वाले, because nitrogen itself is inert. समझ में? Okay. तो oxygen, ठीक है? And since you're burning or heating it, आपको heat इधर word लिखना पड़ेगा. Triangle sign also you can show. Forming magnesium oxide. ठीक है ना? इधर ध्यान से देखिए सिर्फ आपको देखना है first lecture is going on listen to it carefully every time you have to just listen and then after listening then you write you will get it and below that you have to because you have to just report this like an observation okay white in color then one student comes child says sir again can you make it shorter than this then I write for example here This is in the form of what? Much more smaller form. Okay, chemical equation. Can you tell me, children, why that particular parking is written in short form? Right or not? क्यों ऐसा short form में लिखते हैं वहाँ पे? रोड में पूरा word parking. Yeah. हाँ? Less space. Any other thing? पढ़ने का time इसको. What is that? पढ़ने का time इसको. Who's having? I mean, you're driving. Am I right or not? तुम पढ़े जाए और आगे कोई दूसरा गाड़ी आ गया, क्या हो जाएगा? पूरा word parking. Like sometimes you find the captions given over there. Don't give him a point, give him future. तब तक तुम future अपना ये हो गया, गाड़ी ये dash हो गए, क्योंकि वहां पे तुम read करने जा रहे हो रोड पे. क्या बोलते हैं उसको? जब तुम concentrate driving पे कर तो उस पे concentrate. ये सब parking. That's why they have written in short form. ठीक है, symbol form. Okay, just an example. So good answer, because who's having time on the road to see that particular put statement over there. Statement nobody is going to see. Okay, anyway, now so many rules are given in the when you open an account, you directly sign yes or no. इसके पास उतना time है सब देखने का rules का. Okay, anyway, chemical equation. Now child says, sir, can you make it shorter? Okay, I will make it shorter. So what is the formula or the representation of magnesium? Representation in terms of magnesium in the form of formula. Is symbol and formula same hai? Chemical reaction should contain formula, remember. तो मैग्नीशियम का फॉर्मूला और सिंबल सेम ही है. तो मैग्नीशियम प्लस ऑक्सीजन का फॉर्मूला O2 है. सिंबल इज O, बट वी टू राइट इन द फॉर्म ऑफ फॉर्मूला. गिविंग यू मैग्नीशियम हीटिंग. बर्निंग का मतलब है तुम हीट भी दे रहे हो. तो हीटिंग एंड बिकम्स व्हाट? मैग्नीशियम ऑक्साइड. ओके, नाउ यू कैन राइट द फिजिकल स्टेट आल्सो. अगर ये सॉलिड है तो दिस इज नथिंग बट व्हाट? S stands for solid. This is a gas. So G rigor है तो it is a gas. And MgO again it is a solid, but if it is suppose small L, then it is a liquid. If suppose some particles are dissolved in water or some that particular substance is dissolved in water, then it is referred as what? Aqueous. In आप sugar पानी में डाल दिए तो आप क्या बोलेंगे? Sugar is dissolved in water. So sugar in aqueous form. नीचे aqueous लिखना पड़ेगा. AQ. This of course no need to write. This is mandatory नहीं है. This is optional. You can write optional, right? If you don't want to write the physical state of reactants and the products, you can leave, right? Now, what is important? You will say, sir, my job is over. No, what is happening over here is that the atoms are not conserved. Your masses are not conserved. यहाँ पे कितने atom हैं? एक magnesium. Here how many? This is balanced. Yes or no? But oxygen too. So we have to conserve the mass. यानी masses दोनों side same होना चाहिए. तो उसको क्या बोलते हैं? Balance. That means this equation is unbalanced. Like in one particular subject you get more marks, other subject you get less marks. Clear? So that means what is happening? They on an average they become balanced, but every time it may not work. Okay? So what is important over here? We have to balance that particular equation. How to balance it? Balanced chemical equation, you can balance in this manner. Look at this. First rule says that, let me rub this out. This you know very well. Okay? Now what is important? This is one atom. This is 2, this is 2. Okay. Now, which substance is having any side having maximum number of atoms? This and this. But out of this, which is having maximum number of individual atoms? That means this is O2. यहाँ पे एक ही O है. तो यहाँ से शुरू करो. One back. 2 oxygen are there. There only 1 oxygen. तो क्या करेंगे आप? यहाँ तो 1 ही रहेगा. But यहाँ पे मैं balance कर रहा हूँ. 2 लिखना होता है. Right? Oxygen already balanced, but because of this oxygen, magnesium becomes unbalanced. So आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा? 2 magnesium. Yes or no? Now check it out. Check it out whether all the atoms are balanced or not. How will you check it out? Take a pencil. Now here check 2 magnesium. 2 magnesium is side to 2 magnesium. Yes. Keep on. How many oxygen? 2 oxygen. There 2 oxygen. Balanced. Right? Or you can do one verification. वेरिफिकेशन कैसे करना है? नीचे मैग्नीशियम और ऑक्सीजन लिखिए दोनों साइड. One represents reactant, other represents products. Now 2 magnesium. Here also 2 magnesium. Here. Then how many oxygen? 2 oxygen. Here how many oxygen? 2 oxygen. Balance. Representation of a chemical reaction. We are representing a chemical reaction, balanced chemical reaction. Clear? Right? Any doubts? Short form of an equation, short form of a chemical reaction is called as equation. Clear? Got it? Vedant, Aditya?
Yes, sir.
It's represent short by लिख because he's a textbook with the end. When you open the book, keep this notes also along with it so that easily you can match up.
There are only balance equation or statement and word equation.
They can they have given one question number 5. आज करेंगे वो. Convert, translate the word equation into balanced chemical equation. They have asked this question. Here NCERT question number 5 है देख.
Yes, sir.
Word equation जरूरी. Sometimes they may tell you to convert equation into word equation also. I mean, we never know. NCERT can come up with any type of questions. Or we have to be prepared from any direction. Right? Written? चलो और एक equation देख लो.
That is burning takes place.
किसमें?
Burning takes place.
Burns in air and it forms. ठीक है ना? It forms white layer of magnesium.
Yes, and burning takes place.
अच्छा हाँ. Yes. Thank you very much. Okay.
Sir,
So before we go for one more balancing, an important thing which I would like to tell you that is related with the chemical reaction. Okay, start करें. हो गया सबका? देखो मजे से. Don't be in a hurry and make mistakes. Do it steadily. Okay. Because the teaching and learning process is going on where we have to be at a moderate speed. Okay. Now let us come to important point. A chemical reaction. हो गया सबका? Anuj, have you written? Vedant, Aditya.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let us come to the important part before we go for chemical reaction. और ऊपर लिख. ठीक है ना? दिखाई दे रहा? ठीक है, तो जब यहाँ तक आएंगे तो आपको सब इजी दिखेगा, पीछे आ जाते तो it becomes difficult. Last benches and here also. Okay, chemical reactions and equations. Now we are going for a chemical reaction. Children, important चीज याद रखिए, ये ध्यान में रखिए. Chemical reaction depends upon three factors mainly. First factor is what, children, very important factor, and that is temperature. Temperature is an important factor because under what condition you are carrying out the reaction, the speed of the reaction depends upon temperature, because temperature provides energy, kinetic energy. Temperature means kinetic energy. Higher the temperature, higher the kinetic energy. Lower the temperature, lower the kinetic energy. Okay, so temperature, our body temperature, children, is what? 37 degrees Celsius. Right? 37 degrees Celsius means how much time the food takes for digestion? जैसे आपने दोपहर में भी meal लिया, within how many hours it will get digested? Approximately 6 hours. Very good. 6 hours. Why? Because our body temperature is 37. But that is not the alone factor which is going to be responsible for the digestion of 6 hours. Okay. Here, one more factor which is important playing, which is actually an important factor in our body, which is catalyst, which is nothing but what? Enzymes, biocatalyst. Due to these enzymes, the reaction or digestion process takes place in 6 hours. Suppose your enzyme nahi hongi, and you take your food today. Suppose you have taken the food today in the afternoon. Okay, can you tell me next meal when you are going to take? I mean, without enzyme. अगर सपोज कल अपने बॉडी में एंजाइम नहीं होगा, या अगर वो 6 आवर्स में डाइजेशन करना है, तो कैन यू टेल मी व्हाट टेम्परेचर आवर बॉडी शुड बी? 2000. दैट मींस वी विल बिकम एलियंस. हम लोग क्या आग का गोला रहेंगे ना, 2000 डिग्री सेल्सियस. कैन यू इमेजिन, आर वी हैविंग अ टेम्परेचर 2000 डिग्री सेल्सियस? अनइमेजिनेबल. 2000 डिग्री सेल्सियस में अपना फूड 6 घंटे में डाइजेस्ट होगा, बट अपना बॉडी टेम्परेचर सस्टेन होना चाहिए 2000. आई मीन वी हैव टू सस्टेन दैट एट टेम्परेचर, व्हिच इज नॉट पॉसिबल 2000. तो हम लोगों को क्या करना पड़ेगा? 37. बट सपोज 37 इज आवर बॉडी टेम्परेचर. यू से सर, एज अ मैटर ऑफ फैक्ट वी आर हैविंग 37. सो कैन यू टेल मी, टुडे यू हैड फूड इन द आफ्टरनून. ओके, नेक्स्ट मील कब आप लेंगे? इन एनी गेसेस? कल लेंगे, परसों लेंगे, कब लेंगे? इवनिंग ले लेंगे 6 घंटे में. नहीं, मैंने बोला 6 घंटे में नहीं हो पाता. ये अगर एंजाइम नहीं है, यही टेम्परेचर पे अगर फूड को हम लोग को फिर से खाना है, तो व्हाट गेस, वाइल्ड गेस यू कैन डू? चाइल्ड, आप बोल सकते हैं ना कोई भी आंसर. कितना, लाइक टुडे इज व्हाट 8 अप्रैल, नेक्स्ट डे 8 मई को खाना खाएंगे क्या? फिर आफ्टर 3 days you will have, at night you will have, after 9 hours, 10 hours. Sure. Okay. Anybody, any guess? Children, you will be having your food after 50 साल के बाद आपको नेक्स्ट खाना मिले, यानी खाना खा सकते हैं, क्योंकि डाइजेशन हुआ ही नहीं फूड का, बिकॉज एंजाइम है ही नहीं. टेम्परेचर अपना 37 पे चल रहा है. तो अगर एंजाइम नहीं है, 50 साल के बाद आपको सेकंड, यानी आफ्टर योर हाफ ऑफ द लाइफ इज ओवर, our half of the life is over, then another square meal. I mean, it's going to be a tough job, because our body will be what? For example, will not be able to digest the food because enzymes are not there. Moreover, if enzymes are not there, no problem, but the body temperature is also low. Reaction is going to be very, very slow. So digestion हो ही नहीं रहा है, slow है. क्यों? टेम्परेचर उतना उसको दे रहे, एनर्जी मिल रही नहीं बाहर से. एनर्जी जो बॉडी में मिलना चाहिए स्टमक में, ओके, तो फॉर डाइजेशन, स्टमक इज लाइक आवर किचन. कंबशन हो ही नहीं रहा है, फूड डाइजेस्ट हो ही नहीं रहा है. Then you will say, sir, raise the temperature. 2000 भी possible नहीं है. We cannot sustain 2000 in our stomach. Okay. Anyway, just an example. So first is this, and second is what? Enzyme. Enzymes are there. That's why our food is getting Like you are writing a paper in the examination hall, and teacher is some supervisors, teacher supervisors are very good. Okay, 1 hour has passed, immediately bell goes, but you are busy writing. And the teacher reminds you, 1 hour has passed, increase your speed of writing. Then you look at the teacher and smile. Why? Teacher has reminded you. Okay? And therefore you enhance the speed. This enhancing of speed is because of these enzymes. Enzyme की वजह से reaction 6 घंटे में digest हो रहा है. Okay? And third is very important. Pressure. Under high pressure, you find the reaction takes place. Like for example, cooking of food, if you have seen. Cooking of food, किसमें होता है children? Normally, यानी fast करने के लिए किसमें करते हैं? Pressure. Pressure cooker में water का जो boiling point है, यानी जो food में जो पानी रहता है, ठीक है? उसका boiling point increase होता है to 20 degrees Celsius, means 120 पे liquid boil हो. Because of this high pressure, the whistle on the vent is creating a pressure. And this pressure is increasing the boiling point of water, and due to that, the time required for the cooking of food is less. Yes or no? Time means the speed of the cooking of food becomes faster. So that means if your reaction has to be increased, the speed of the reaction has to be increased, then 3 important factors. One is temperature, other is catalyst, and third is pressure. So whenever you write, okay, any chemical reaction, if they give you like a pressure, so they will always give you in terms of what? Atmosphere. तो ऊपर ऐसा arrow पे atmosphere लिखा है. Okay, that means the unit of pressure is atmosphere. In terms of temperature, it will be degree Celsius or Kelvin. And in terms of catalyst, the word enzyme means जो enzyme use कर रहे, that particular enzyme they will mention. Pepsin. Okay, whatever enzymes they are using. Okay, so write down these important factors which affect the chemical reaction rate. Clear? Either degree Celsius or Kelvin में ये रहे. Take one more balancing. Okay. Then we'll go for question number 5 NCERT book. Then we'll stop the lecture. Okay. Okay, सबका? Clear? Last time. Okay ना? Everybody finished? We're done? लिखिए मजे से लिखिए. Don't be in a hurry. Page number is, I'll just tell you, in the NCERT book, in the NCERT exercise, question number 5. Green box is there. अभी नहीं, पहले एक balance कर लीजिए. और directly we can go for this question. Better एक question पे जाते हैं. ठीक है ना? तो balancing भी हो जाएगा and you will come to know. Okay? Child, क्या नाम है आपका? Trisha. Trisha is reading the first reaction or question. Okay? Trisha, please read out the question number 5.
Translate the following statements into chemical.
रुको. Translate
The following statement
the following statement.
into chemical equation.
एक minute. Trisha, can you tell me the page number?
15.
Page number 15, children, NCERT book. NCERT exercise, and in our
70.
exercise, and in our UT volume, children, page number
70.
Page number 17 and what is the question number 5 है ना वो भी हाँ yes. कुछ questions अलग-अलग हो सकते हैं लेकिन question format same रहेगा ठीक है ना translate the following statement into equation ठीक है ना
Then balance.
and yes and then balance them. We shall read out the first one.
मेरे words मिट गए.
मिट गए चलेगा चलो तुम पढ़ो आप पढ़िए वर्ड्स नहीं है ना एनसीईआरटी ने पेज नंबर 17 यूटी वॉल्यूम में देखिए पेज नंबर 17 क्वेश्चन नंबर 5 इन एनसीईआरटी एक्सरसाइज हाँ पढ़िए एक मिनट हाँ हाइड्रोजन प्लस क्या लिखा है नाइट्रोजन वेरी वैसे ही पढ़िए जैसे लिखा है नाइट्रोजन गिविंग यू और एरो अमोनिया ठीक है ना वेरी गुड ओके अभी इसको हम लोगों को क्या करना है ट्रांसलेट दिस फॉलोइंग इट इज स्टेटमेंट और व्हाट व्हाट इक्वेशन और स्टेटमेंट इज गिवन क्या लिखा है हाइड्रोजन
gas combined
अच्छा ऐसे ओके राइट हाइड्रोजन गैस कंबाइंस विद
nitrogen to form
combines with nitrogen to form ammonia ठीक है ना okay I was thinking that it is given in the word equation okay children now let us understand this hydrogen gas तो कैसे लिखेंगे hydrogen as H2 okay then nitrogen how will you write as N2 giving you NH some gas form. If you want, you can write in this arrow. Whenever it's a gas, you can show an upward arrow because gas moves out. ठीक है ना? Reactant side also gases are there, but don't write arrow upward. Why? Because they are reacting. So यहाँ पे आपको arrow नहीं लिखना है reactant side में. Even if they are gases, product side में आपको arrow लिख सकते. When a solid is formed, arrow downward. Now, children, balance this. Here how many atoms? 2. Here how many? 2. Here how many? 4. यहाँ सबसे ज़्यादा atoms हैं. In hydrogen, now children, let me tell you one thing, one important technique which is not given in the rule. Here hydrogen is odd, here hydrogen is even. So आपको जो odd side है ना, जो atom odd है उसको even करना है. So you will multiply by such an appropriate number. 2, 2 3s are 6. ठीक है कि नहीं? Okay, so 6 is an even number or odd number? Even. तो इधर क्या हो जाएगा? 6 नाइट्रोजन तो ये 6 हाइड्रोजन तो यहाँ ये फिर काम नहीं आता. स्टार्टिंग से मालूम पड़ेगा कि यहाँ से आपको ये करना है बट अगर एक साइड ऑड हुआ दूसरे साइड इवन हुआ चिल्ड्रन रिमेंबर वो जो ऑड वाला है उसको इवन कर दो रिमेंबर ठीक है ना दैट मींस यू विल मल्टीप्लाई बाय 2 पहले स्टार्ट करना हमेशा 2 then 3 then 4 ऐसा go from lower number to higher number means lower number minimum number is 2 then you go increase ठीक है now here what about nitrogen balance now verification this verification is optional children वेरिफिकेशन अपने बुक में नहीं दिया है तो हम लोग हाइड्रोजन नाइट्रोजन यस और नो हाउ मेनी हाइड्रोजन 6 हाइड्रोजन यार हाउ मेनी हाइड्रोजन 6 हाउ मेनी नाइट्रोजन 2 नाइट्रोजन ओके कितने ओके बैलेंस्ड देखिए फर्स्ट रिएक्शन बैलेंस्ड But it second question. What do you? Okay, सबका ये?
yes sir
Go for the second question. What is the second?
hydrogen sulfide gas
Hydrogen sulfide gas. So now I'm directly writing the reaction. I mean I'll write in words. चलो word equation लिख देता हूँ. Hydrogen
sulfide gas
hydrogen sulfide gas.
burns in air
एक मिनट sulfide gas burns in air means what oxygen ठीक है ना okay giving you
water and sulfur dioxide
water and sulfur dioxide ठीक है Now, children, hydrogen sulfide कैसे लिखेंगे? H2S. Oxygen कैसे लिखेंगे? O2. Since you are heating it, burning is heating is required. Water H2O plus sulfur dioxide. Physical state no need to write. If you want, you can write it, but not required. Now see, here how many atoms? 3. Here 2. Here 3. Here 3. 3 जगह पे 3. ठीक है? अब check कीजिए कौन सा element odd है. Now let me tell you one thing, children. Sometimes you have to see, for example, that element which is coming most number of times is going to create problems. See this. Now let me tell you one thing. Whenever you're balancing, this technique always remember. जो element least number of times आते हैं, उसको पहले balance करें. Because वो ज़्यादा indulge नहीं करें, ये नहीं ज़्यादा interfere नहीं करेंगे दूसरे elements, क्योंकि वो least number of times है. ठीक है ना? जो element ऐसे least फिर ऊपर more and then finally what? Oxygen. So hydrogen is the second last element. उसको balance करना है. Because that element comes most of the time. And the last element, oxygen, that also comes very much, that also interferes with the balance. इसको last में balance करना. But ironically, यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? Oxygen 3 जगह पे आ रहा है. देखो, इधर भी आ रहा है, इधर भी आ रहा है. तो तुम बोलोगे सर इसको तो आपने बोला last में. But इसमें unfortunately क्या हो रहा है? We are not able to balance last. Let me show you how. See this. 2 hydrogen, balance. एक सल्फर अब इन लोगों को बैलेंस है उसको कैसे उसको तो अनबैलेंस नहीं कर सकते ना वी कैन नॉट अनबैलेंस इट तो एक ही बचा एलिमेंट ऑक्सीजन अब इसमें देखना है कि इवन एंड ऑड सो सिंस दे आर बैलेंस्ड एज इट इज वी आर बैलेंसिंग लास्ट वन सी लीस्ट एलिमेंट वाले बैलेंस है हाइड्रोजन बैलेंस्ड है ऑक्सीजन इज अनबैलेंस्ड कैसे देखो 2 ऑक्सीजन यहाँ पे 3 ऑक्सीजन यस और नो तो ये 3 है इस साइड और इधर 2 है तो इसको क्या करेंगे इवन बनाने के लिए इधर बिकॉज़ यहाँ पे बनाएंगे तो फिर से ऑड ही रहेगा अगर 2 इधर डालेंगे तो चिल्ड्रन क्या हो जाएगा 2 + 4 + 1 5 ना तो आपको इस साइड डालना पड़ेगा 2 so that 2 and 2 is how much 4 and this is what 2 but problem क्या है जब ऑक्सीजन बैलेंस हुआ The moment you put hydrogen 2, it becomes 4. तो ये hydrogen यहाँ पे unbalanced हुआ तो यहाँ पे क्या करेंगे 2. But because hydrogen is balanced now, but उसके साथ sulfur जो जुड़ा है, this is becoming unbalanced. तो आपको इधर 2. Finally, again इसको change करना. क्या करना पड़ेगा? Now see, hydrogen sulfur balance, oxygen कितना है 2, and this is what 4. इसका क्या है? Okay. Now just see this again. I'll show you. Again, I'll show you again. Listen to it carefully. ये थोड़ा सा dicey है. ऐसा करके हमेशा hydrogen is balanced, sulfur is balanced. अब आपका काम क्या है? Oxygen को balance है कि नहीं? Now just see this. This side 2, this side 3. Yes or no? What will do to make it even? The moment you make it 2, so this becomes what? 4. But don't write anything now. अभी मत लिखिए क्योंकि इसको चेंज होना ही है क्योंकि इसके ये चेंज क्यों होगा बिकॉज़ ऑक्सीजन हाइड्रोजन को अनबैलेंस कर दिया नाउ व्हाट डू 2 + 4 फर्स्ट यू राइट डाउन व्हाट यहाँ पे 2 लिख दीजिए चलो बट द मोमेंट यू राइट 2 हाइड्रोजन इज बैलेंस पुट इट टिक मार्क over here sir it is balanced hydrogen but due to this 2 sulfur has become unbalanced yes or no yes sir आपको sulfur को बैलेंस Now I am not putting here, for example, anything. Why? Because I know very well when I try to rewrite the balancing coefficient for sulfur and hydrogen, oxygen is bound to change. Yes or no? So कैसे होगा? 2 and this is what? 2 2s are 4. This will become what? 3 2s are 6 na? I something. That is the way. Balancing is not having a specific rule. So indirectly we are balancing oxygen last one. Their oxygen last will balance. ये rule हमेशा है. The elements which are coming least number of times, they do balance first. उससे ऊपर कोई element आ रहा है. यानी suppose एक least element एक बार आया है. यानी एक बार reactant product. दूसरा element 2 बार आ रहा है. Because if you get more number of reactants and products, this kind of thing you will have. Now since there are only 2 reactants, 2 products, ज़्यादा variation नहीं मिलेगा. पर जब ज़्यादा reactants और products रहेंगे, आपको ये rule follow करना होगा. अभी तो simple है. Okay, that's why. And this will come only after practicing again and again balance. Clear? Now next one. Which is the next reaction? Anuj, read out, child. Fully. Barium chloride. Now directly I'm writing the formula for barium chloride. What is the formula for barium chloride, children? BaCl2. How to write barium chloride? How to write the formula for any compound? Barium का valency कितना है? 2. Chlorine का valency 1 minus. Valency is different. Crisscross.
Yes, sir.
मालूम है ना? Crisscross.
Yes, sir.
तो barium के नीचे 1 आएगा, but we don't write 1. Chlorine के नीचे 2 आ जाएगा. Right? Second compound क्या दिया है? Aluminium sulfate. Now children, aluminium sulfate देखिए. Now aluminium का valency क्या है children? 3 plus. Sulfate valency is what? 2 minus. तो आपको क्या करना है? इधर 3 लिखिए, इधर 2. Crisscross. तो aluminium के नीचे 2, and whenever it's a multi kind of ion or polyatomic ion, आपको bracket डाल के ये 3 लिखना पड़ेगा. Giving you, now metal always reacts with non-metal. That means negative ion will react with positive ion. So you'll get what? Barium sulfate, which is a precipitate, white color precipitate मिलता है. So इसको arrow downward. Plus ये भी आएगा. And then aluminium will combine with chlorine because aluminium positive है और chlorine negative है. हमेशा याद रखिए. आपको क्या मिलेगा? Aluminium chloride. Now how it is aluminium chloride? Aluminium का valency क्या है? 3 plus. And chlorine का valency 1 minus. So this same number you write below without charge. Crisscross. Is aluminium is losing 3 electrons and 3 chlorine atoms are gaining 1 electron. 3 chlorine atoms are gaining 1 electron. Okay? यहाँ पे क्या होगा? Barium sulfate. What will be the value? What is the structure? Barium का valency 2, sulfate का valency 2. That means when the valency is the same, no need to crisscross. Directly write the formula. Barium sulfate. Don't write Ba2SO4 twice. उसमें जब valency दोनों का same है, same formula लिख. Now balance this. Now children, here important thing. Whenever you have, there's another rule over here. Whenever you have this kind of we can say polyatomic ion, carbonate ion, nitrate ion, ठीक है, सल्फेट आयन, आपको इसको साथ में बैलेंस करना है. ठीक है, ठीक है. Remember, और इसको ब्रैकेट मत डालिए अभी फिलहाल. Just write this way only. What is that? Okay, now children, let us see. Now whenever sulfate is together, यहाँ पे भी sulfate है, ये सब. ठीक है ना? Now देखो, कितने sulfate है इधर? 3. इधर कितना है? एक ही है. Yes or no?
Yes.
1 ही है ना? So 1 means इसको 3 से multiply. The moment you write 3, barium is getting unbalanced, right? Moment you write barium balanced, but chlorine 6 हो गए. Yes or no? 2 3s are 6. Aluminium यहाँ पे chlorine 3 ही है. यहाँ पे क्या? 2 aluminum already balanced.
Yes, sir.
ऐसा होगा. जब भी ऐसा ग्रुप रहेगा, साथ में बैलेंसिंग कर. Okay? This is right. But tell you again, इधर वापस कर देते हैं. सुनो इधर देखो. फिर से एक बार कर. ये देखिए. बेरियम क्लोराइड. यस. अच्छा, तुम बोलोगे सर वो रूल किधर गया? वही रूल से कर रहे हैं एक्चुअली. I'll tell specify. कितने एलिमेंट्स हैं? 1 बेरियम 2 क्लोरीन 3, 2 एल्यूमिनियम 3 सल्फेट 5 हो गया. यस और नो?
Yes, sir.
यहाँ पे कितना है? 2. एक बेरियम आयन, एक सल्फेट आयन. इसको साथ में लेना है. यहाँ पे कितना है? 4. ये सबसे ज्यादा है. यस और नो?
Yes, sir.
अब उसमें सल्फेट जो है 3 है. हम लोग को इधर एक ही दिख रहा है. We are getting only 1. What will do? बट उसके जो लगा हुआ एलिमेंट है उसको इमीडिएटली बैलेंस करने का कोशिश करना है. तो जो दिस एलिमेंट व्हिच इज देयर बेरियम, यहाँ पे एक 3 है, इधर एक ही है. तो आपको क्या करना है? यस और नो? बट इसके साथ जो लगा हुआ एलिमेंट उसको बैलेंसिंग देखना है आपको. यदि फॉलो, इट्स अ चेन रिएक्शन. ये बैलेंस हो गए. इनके साथ जो लगा हुआ एलिमेंट है उनको बैलेंस करना. अगर वो अनबैलेंस हुआ यानी दूसरे साइड, ठीक है कि नहीं? फिर जैसे वो दूसरे एलिमेंट में दूसरे नेक्स्ट कंपाउंड में गए, एक एलिमेंट बैलेंस हुआ, दूसरा आयन को चेक कर, वो पूरा हो गया, देन यू गो फॉर द अदर कंपाउंड. रिमेंबर, ओके? तो देखो सल्फेट को बैलेंस किया बट बेरियम अनबैलेंस हो गया. यहाँ पे 3 हो गए, यहाँ पे कितना है, 1 था ना, 3 है, बट इसके लगा हुआ एलिमेंट विच इज दैट क्लोरीन, 2 3 6, इधर कितना है, इधर 3, तो अनबैलेंस है ना, इधर क्या करते हैं, दोनों अनबैलेंस है, इस साइड 6 है, तो इधर क्या करना पड़ेगा, 2 एल्यूमिनियम, थैंक गॉड, बिकॉज़ फाइनली इट विल बी गेटिंग बैलेंस, बिकॉज़ masses are conserved. एक ना एक जगह के जाके आपको रुकना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि सब बैलेंस हो. I follow my point?
Yes, sir.
Clear? Got it done?
Yes, sir.
एक rule common है. Whichever compound is having maximum number of elements by उधर से देखो. Let me give you this technique. Okay? What is the time?
Yes, sir.
Oh, time is up. Okay? So ये कितने questions हो गए? 3. अब चौथा and पांचवा I am giving you homework. Vedant and Aditya. 4 ही है क्या?
Yes, yes.
हाँ, तो 4th question and one more question I am giving you. This you balance at home. Write down this. ये भी reaction उसमें add कर देंगे. Iron plus water giving you what? Fe3O4 plus hydrogen. This is a classwork. ये पहले दे दिया है, लेकिन you try to balance. ठीक है? Sorry, I have 3 minutes extra. But studies में 1 or 2 minutes. Bear with me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, thank you very much. Okay, next time we'll proceed. So we'll do some more reactions. Okay. Thank you, Vedant and Aditya.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.